So we have to understand our governments have been seized. The big corporations want to get rid of the American idea. Like you got 50 acres and your house and a business and a farm and you can take care of your family and you're independent. They have to destroy all that because the rest of the world aspires to that. Instead, they want 15-minute cities, central bank digital currencies. They want all of these systems that track and trace everything you do in the social credit scores. And the plan for the rest of the public, I mean, we're talking 99%.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with all of this. Yeah, a lot of this is what they're saying. I mean, what he's saying is not even controversial because these are all conversations that are happening in public forums. When he talks about 15-minute cities and central bank digital currency, and he talks about this is all stuff that they're talking about. We all know that. This is arcane knowledge. Like this is esoteric knowledge. We know. You think no one's ever heard of the United Nations? You think nobody's ever heard of this stuff? And by the way, why is this stuff allowed on X? Why is this stuff allowed on Twitter? If that's the ultimate power in the world, why is any of this allowed to be talked about? How do you get financing? How do you get Twitter? How does Tucker Carlson get $15 million to talk about this stuff? Anybody wonder that? Here are the two problems. One, Americans have no sovereignty because the Jewish mafia runs America. That's point number one. That's point number one. You cannot make sense of society without understanding that. It's that Jews who are race loyal and loyal to their tribe, and they're an international diaspora people, but now with a state called Israel, they run this country. They run Hollywood. They run the banks. They run the media. They run the Biden administration. They run the State Department. That's who runs America. And they don't care about America because they fundamentally resent America. They resent the white Christians that built America. They resent the white Christians that live in America today. They want to use America to make money and to go to war for Israel. That's number one. Point number two is that across the globe, whites are being genocided. Whites are being genocided in the United States, Canada, Australia, and Europe. Majority white countries are being turned into diverse, multiracial nations. They're the only countries in the world that are being subjected to this. China, India, Japan are not being subjected to this. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the Emirates are not being subjected to this. It's just white countries. And it's these people that are making the countries worse. It's these countries that are making the country, or rather, it's these people that are making the country poor. They're lowering the average IQ. They're making it dirty. They're making it incoherent as a whole. That's number two. And those are those are the big things. And on some level, the only two things that matter that are going on, politically speaking. And so you can talk about 15-minute cities. On some level, it matters less that there's going to be 15-minute cities than that your city is going to be minority white. You know, I live in Chicago. You know what I'm not afraid of right now? 15-minute cities. You know what I'm not afraid of right now? Getting rid of cars and whatever, and gas stoves. You know what I am afraid of? Getting carjacked, getting mugged. You know what I don't like that's going on right now? That they're setting up refugee camps at the airport and at the police stations and in hotels, visibly everywhere. They're smoking pot and they're getting government money. I don't like that. So, I mean, all this schizo stuff about, you know, the New World Order, the Global Economic Forum, and blah, blah, blah. It just ignores the reality that we're seeing with our own eyes. The problem is that this country is becoming minority white. Whites are becoming a minority. And as a consequence, America's failing. Go figure. And here's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for a country that has a white majority, that's Christian, and where Christians have sovereignty over the nation. I'm not fighting for the real American populism where everyone believes in freedom and whatever, and this is a multiracial nation. That's why he keeps talking about culture, and that's why he won't name white people. That's why he won't talk about Jews. That's why he won't talk about race. Because he's fighting for a multiracial liberal nation. He wants America to be liberal. He wants the demographics of 2050 with the politics of 1990. He wants a country that's totally liberal, and by that I mean pluralistic and tolerant and godless. But it's going to be non-white. It's going to be a country where whites are another minority among other minorities, and we're supposed to think that that's just fine. It's supposed to be capitalism and tolerance for other groups and no real religion. I mean, he said openly he's in favor of euthanasia. He's in favor of people getting transgender. He says as long as you're 18, you can get a transgender surgery. So what the fuck are we fighting for? It doesn't matter if America's non-white. It doesn't matter if people can kill themselves. It doesn't matter if people can get a transgender surgery. It doesn't matter what religion or race you are, as long as we have capitalism and firearms. Well, fuck that. Sorry, but that's not America was, and that's not what America should be. At its founding, America was a Christian nation of white people. And when we put a man on the moon, America was a Christian nation of white people. Now it's a multiracial nation and Jews are running it. And people say, well, as if we can just get the good Jews to run it, and if we could get the good black people to vote for the good Jews that back the Republican Party, then everything will be fine. We'll cut your taxes and whatever. Sorry, but wrong. I don't support that. I mean, Tucker Carlson has even said gay marriage is fine. The problem is transgenderism. Tucker Carlson has said that white identity is as bad as any other racial identitarianism. White identity is evil, and it's just as bad. It's another form of identity politics. Okay, so they want a country with gay marriage, transgenders. It's not Christian. It's not white. Jews are still running it. We still support Israel. They're not even reformists. They're supporting the status quo. They want a war with China. You know who else wants a war with China? Everyone in the government. Peter Thiel wants a war with China. Bannon wants a war with China. Pompeo wants a war with China. Haley wants a war with China. DeSantis wants a war with China. Biden is engaging in a trade war with China. Who do you think visited Taiwan this year? Was Pelosi. Or last year. So, I mean, they agree with everybody. Being anti-China, they agree with everybody. Being in favor of gay marriage, they agree with everybody. Being against white identity and white supremacists, they agree with everybody. Blaming Iran and the mullahs and the Palestinians, they agree with everybody. Nothing here is even against the status quo. You know who else is blaming the mullahs and Hamas and talking about the $6 billion? CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. And it goes on and on and on and on like this. I want a Christian nation. I want a white majority. I want our sovereignty, and I want our sovereignty to be reclaimed from Jewish power. I don't want to work for Israel. And I don't want this country to become a multiracial boarding house. And all this language, couching it in culture. They're going after you for being rural and self-sufficient. No, they're going after them for being white. Well, they want to attack white culture. No, they're attacking the white race. They're attacking the white race. Well, the people that are pushing anti-white hatred is just dumb white people. No, some of them, sure, but it's Jews. It's Jews, it's a lot of black people, and other left-wing minority groups. Come on now.
Is 250 square foot coffin apartments, 5G bathing you in them, literally eating bug protein. And I told people 10 years ago they're going to push bugs on the public because I read it in their white papers. Now it's already in grocery stores all over the U.S., all over Europe. They're putting the cricket meal into the food, very toxic.
Undisclosed, yeah.
It's got chitin in it. Yeah, they'll just give it a number. It's got like a code. And you ask again, why would you do that? Because it's all about breaking our will. They don't want people to aspire to open, free societies. Yeah, there's a lot of waste, there's decadence, there's issues, but there's freedom. They want to train us to live on carbon rationing, food rationing, a very dystopic world. You'll own nothing, you'll have nothing, and you'll be happy. Now, these are quotes.
I have to say, I bet there are, I don't know how long into this we are, 30 minutes or something.
I would rather live in a closed society that's white and Christian than an open society that isn't. Press 1 if you agree. 1 if you agree, 2 if you disagree. I would rather live in a closed society with less freedom if it were Christian and if it were white. 1 if you agree, 2 if you disagree. 1 if you agree with that, 2 if you want to live in an open society and we live with a bunch of brown people and it's not Christian and Jews run it. Okay, so everyone agrees. So that's the central issue, clearly. This debate about a closed versus an open society, it's really got nothing to do with the matter at hand, which is our quality of life. We need law and order. We need to control the borders. We need to get Zionists and these disloyal Jews out of power because they don't care about our country. As a matter of fact, they hate our country. We need to get rid of the censorship. We need to have white people start having kids again. And we need Christian moral domination of the country. We need Christianity in the schools. We need Christianity in the media. We need Christianity in the laws. Because when you take out Christ, you get the devil. It's that simple. People think you can take out the Christ and have just nothing. You can't. They think that when you take God out of, and when I say, I don't even like saying God because I'm not just talking about, whatever you believe. No, I'm talking about Jesus Christ who died on the cross and was resurrected and is the true and living God. That's what I'm talking about. When you take Jesus out of the schools and you take Jesus off of television and you take Jesus out of Congress, people think that you can just leave nothing in its place and let's just have an umpire. Let's just have an umpire who isn't any religion and isn't anything. They're not any gender, they're not any race. Let's just have a liberal umpire who just calls balls and strikes. It never works that way. You always get the devil. It's either good or it's bad. You're either going to get Jesus, which is the only thing that is good, or you're going to get the devil. You don't get to pause. Oh, Jesus just left, pause. And let's get all the benefits of Jesus without Jesus. No, it doesn't work that way. Clearly. You know what you get when Jesus exits the stage? You get abortion, you get child genital mutilation, you get drug abuse, you get pornography everywhere. You get gay people paying surrogates. They purchase children like a commodity, like they're a fucking watermelon. They pay a woman for her eggs, they pay another woman for the womb, and they grow the child like it's a bushel of strawberries or apples, and they buy them. How much? They go to a woman and say, how much for your child to artificially conceive and birth a human being? How much? Says the gay couple. Their marriage is based on sodomy, which is the act of putting a penis in a filthy asshole. That's what their marriage is based on. It's just like a regular wedding, except instead of lovemaking to create children, they stick a penis in a dirty asshole. It's just like, it's the same thing. It's the same. You know how a man and a woman were created to be a pair? You know how men and women woman was created from man to be man's helper, and they created with complementarity so they could get married, and the product of their reproductive faculties is children, so the product of love is life. Well, two guys are going to have sex with each other's dirty assholes, and it's the same thing. And we'll just call that a marriage. Two guys that are not complementary at all, but they're going to imitate the act with something filthy, and they're going to imitate the sacrament with something heretical. Well, it's the same thing. And those guys are going to pay a woman for her child. They're going to say, how much? What's the price for a kid these days on the market? Based on the laws of supply and demand, based on relative scarcity. How much for your baby, ma'am? $10,000? All right, here's $10,000. Thanks for your baby. And now we're like a little family, except instead of creating the child from an act of love and God's creation, we just have filthy anal sex, and we bought this child and with the intention of ripping it from its mother and father. And we're going to raise it in a realm of moral confusion and tell the child, some kids have parents that are born from a mother and father. You were purchased by two gay men that have filthy anal sex. And that's perfectly fine, as long as everyone consents. And as long As long as we live in a free society, hey, who gives a fuck? You know? And it goes on and on and on and on like this. If you don't have God, if you don't have Jesus at the center. You know, pornography and OnlyFans, that's fine as long as they turn 18. You know, you raise your little girl. You remember when your little girl was just glimmer. You get married, have a daughter. Oh, she's so beautiful. She's born. She's so sweet. And she says her first words, and you show her how to walk and teach her how to ride a bike. And she's so sweet, and she's the angel, and you dance with her. And she goes off to prom and then off to college. And then you know what happens? She turns 19 and she starts an OnlyFans. And she gets out her video camera and she starts stripping and shows off her naked body so that strange men can masturbate to her for money. And she makes an income off that. And she dates guys and has sex with them, and then she strips, and then guys jerk off to her and pay her for that. But that's fine. That's fine. As long as we live in an open society. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions, right? As long as she's an adult. How about your son? Your son, oh, I wanted a son so bad. Maybe he takes on your name. Just like my father, you know, or my grandfather. And he's going to carry on the tradition, and I'll teach him how to shave, and I'll play baseball, and you know, I'll be the coach of his football team, and oh, he's growing up. We're starting to compete a little bit, and he's in high school. Yeah, and then your son watches too much pornography and decides your son is now a girl. So when he's 19, he goes to a transgender clinic, and they surgically remove his penis and balls. And not only do they remove them, but they open up the scrotum and remove the testicles. And then they turn the penis inside out so that the penis head can form something that imitates a vagina. And we're going to create actually an artificial orifice that resembles a vagina. And your son would like you to call him a girl now. Your son would like now to call him she, her. Okay, but this is fine. But this is, hey, what the fuck is your problem? This is a free society. Yeah, there's excess. Yeah, things could go wrong. But this is a free society, man. And you know, one day you walk outside, you know, your kids are estranged from you because your son is now a woman. You refuse to call him a girl. Your daughter's a whore, prostitute. You don't talk to her anymore because you're not okay with that. Your brother, you're not cool with him because he's gay and adopted kids, and you think that's an abominable satanic act. But that's okay. You know, that's their prerogative, and your prerogative is to go and do what you please. You know, you get to live the life the way that you want to live. So you go outside to get your morning paper, but guess what? You look around and all your neighbors are different. One's black, one's Muslim, one's got a hijab on, one's Asian. None of them speak English. None of them go to church. You go and get your paper, you get your coffee, your bacon and eggs, you go to church, and guess what? The Catholic Church is empty. Nobody's there. It's just you and a bunch of other white old people waiting to die. Did anyone even remember that it was the feast of the Immaculate Conception? Did anybody even remember it was All Saints' Day? That it's a holy day of obligation? Well, just you and the 4 other white people in your neighborhood that are left waiting to die because they remember what it used to be like. Is this okay? Everyone's got a big plot of land and everybody's got guns and everybody loves freedom. Is this okay? Are we happy with this? Living in an alien nation, a satanic, godless, alien nation. Is that acceptable? That's how these two would have it. Gay marriage, trannies, multiracialism, it's all fine. It's not fine to Jesus. It's not fine to me. But that's what it is. I mean, but this is and people might say, well, that's extreme. No, it's about the standard. What's the standard? Is the standard freedom or is the standard morality? Is it goodness? The society may be free, but is it good? It's not good. Gay marriage is not good. Euthanasia is not good. Transgenderism is not good. Abortion, contraceptives, pornography are not good. They should have no place. So I don't want this negative philosophy of not tyranny, not crickets, not 15-minute city. I want a positive society that says yes to God, yes to a family, yes to our roles and our responsibilities as men and women. Yes to being a man, or for women, yes to being a woman. Yes to having sexuality that is moral and not immoral, which is anything other than sex between a husband and a wife within marriage. Yes to a country that's white. Yeah, a country that's white, not a country that's everything else. It's America. This isn't Somalia. This isn't Mexico. This isn't India. This is America. Yeah, America's a white country. It has other people in it, but it's a white country. Japan has some other people in it, but it's a Japanese country. China's a very big country, and not everyone there is ethnically Chinese, but it's a Chinese country. America's a white country. I don't want to live in little Haiti. I don't want to live in little Mogadishu. I don't want to live in little India or little China, Chinatown that is, or little Honduras. I want to live in America. And you can't take the white out of America. When you talk about apple pie and Christmas and the Wild West and the Magna Carta and the Declaration, it's all that is white culture. It's white people that did that. And these Jews that run the country are sorcerers, okay? Breaking news. They don't worship Jesus. Ergo, they are wrong. The Jews that run our country, whether they are Talmudic or Kabbalist or they're so-called secular, you know what all that means? I don't give a shit. It means they don't worship Jesus. That means they're wrong. That means they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. How can we have people that don't believe in Jesus make the laws? How can the laws instruct the society if God doesn't instruct the law? That's what the law is. It's the instructor. The law says don't kill. The law says don't shoot. The law says don't steal. How can the law instruct the people if God doesn't instruct the lawmaker or the lawgiver, the law enforcer? It can't. It doesn't work that way. Jews that don't worship Jesus are wrong. That's what a Jew is. And not only that, but they practice magic and sorcery and all sorts of other, anything but. Based on a moral relativism, based on Gnosticism, based on the idea that we can have knowledge. Where's the humility? Where's the role for revelation? There's no revelation in the Zohar. Revelation's not authoritative in the Talmud. Where's the revealed wisdom of God? Where's the humility to accept it? So maybe we just have completely different worldviews. But this is wrong. I mean, this stuff is just wrong that he's pushing, that both of them are pushing here. This is the truth. This isn't the truth. You can't tell yourself, you can't say you're telling the truth if you're obviously pulling your punches and avoiding certain subjects. I'm a truth teller. I'm banned for telling the truth. I won't dare talk about the Jews or Israel or race, anything that's actually controversial. We're going to talk about how the Chinese own Hollywood. Give me a break. I'm a truth teller. The Chinese own Hollywood. Give me a break. The Chi-Coms run Hollywood. Fuck you. That's not the truth. You know that's not the truth. Everyone knows that's not the truth.
I bet there are a lot of people watching who are thinking,